Cabin Sports Radio.
Here comes the siren. I want to go higher. Oh, my goodness. Posey will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
Oh, baby, for sure.
Cabin Sports Radio starts now.
Welcome once again to the all-new Cabin Sports Radio. Starting off with our brand new long intro. I am joined by Unbreakable Mike Gibbons. How you doing, Mike?
I am doing very well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. We got a big show
Yeah.
coming up tonight, and I'm not just saying that. I know we like to throw that out there all the time because it sounds good,
Yeah.
but we actually have a pretty big show. There's some stuff going on
Oh, yeah.
in Major League Baseball.
Drama is afoot.
It's the off season, but they can't stop.
Yeah. I love off-season. That's when all the real drama, the off-season moves, the scandals. I'm here for it.
Yeah, who cares about this in-season
Yeah.
drama?
Who wins, who loses,
Yeah.
whatever.
There's so much to decide. We are going to be joined to talk about that a little bit later on in the show by Mr. Jesse Wheeler, who basically earlier this week started flooding Mike and I with messages as things just went haywire on Twitter about this whole Houston Astros scandal.
Oh, yeah.
You two, I don't think you slept that night.
Thanks to him, I ended up in a vortex of YouTube, Twitter, conspiracy theories.
Oh, you act like you weren't already there.
I was there, but I just went deeper and deeper.
So he only fanned the flames. He encouraged it.
Totally.
And I was just kind of witnessing the two of you going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then Jesse politely asked, "May I come on the sports show on Monday?" I was like, "Not only should you,
Yes.
but I will be angry if you don't."
Yes, it's
because
encouraged.
I want to hear. I know, and the thing that's amazed me about since then, I think that one was that on Wednesday when that all broke.
Yeah.
Or Thursday. I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And that was when everything just literally hit the fan.
Oh, yeah.
And on Twitter, and there was just things happening left and right, updates, people throwing each other under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
And he restrained himself the next morning on Mornings at the Cabin, somehow did not bring up baseball and everything that was happening there. And I said to him, I was like, I feel like this shows your maturation
I know.
as a broadcaster, because I know you are just dying to talk about this.
And it's because he wanted to save it for the show.
And he wanted to save it for the show. So we are going to do that a little bit later on. We'll see if we have time for anything else once we get into that. But first, let's start off with Cabin Sports Radio News. That is the greatest intro of all time. I don't care what you say.
The stage is set for Super Bowl 54 after the Chiefs and 49ers punched their tickets to the big game yesterday. In Kansas City, the Chiefs beat the Titans 35-24 to clinch their first Super Bowl appearance in 50 years, where they'll face a 49ers team that is firing on all cylinders after steamrolling the Packers 37-20 in the NFC Championship. Kansas City will try to win its second championship, while San Francisco will aim to capture its sixth Vince Lombardi trophy. Super Bowl 54 will be held in Miami on February 2nd. Did you see the halftime performers last year?
I'm sorry, I forgot to censor your mention of the Brat Bowl. We might be in trouble over that one.
The big game.
The big game. Very nice. That's a good one.
2 weeks from yesterday.
So much for Team of Destiny.
Yeah.
another Cabin Sports Radio prediction
failure.
Just bites the dust immediately.
That was the Titans, right? We were all over the Titans.
That is the Titans. Yeah, we wrong again.
They got spanked. No.
Big surprise.
Respectable.
Who are the halftime performers?
We got Shakira.
Okay.
And J-Lo.
What?
Yeah.
Shakira and J-Lo.
Yeah, and Demi Lovato is going to sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Okay, well, that modernizes things a bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Shakira and J-Lo, it's 2001 all over again.
Muy caliente. We're going back.
Bring out Justin and Janet.
Yeah. Let's move to the Octagon. Conor McGregor's first UFC fight in over a calendar year was a short but very successful one. The Irishman beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone via technical knockout in the first round of their highly anticipated welterweight bout in Las Vegas on Saturday. McGregor last fought in October of 2018 when he lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov via submission in a welterweight bout. Also earning wins on Saturday's card were Holly Holm, Anthony Pettis, and Alexei Olenek. I hope you didn't get the PPV.
Oh, God, no.
40 seconds is
Yourself?
all it took.
No.
I was going to. I think I just got a text, a really excited text from my girlfriend, who's not a UFC fan at all.
Is she a Conor McGregor fan?
And the thing, she made it suspenseful for me because she said, it's over! But she didn't tell me.
It's all over.
She didn't tell me who won.
You're like, what, his career?
Yeah.
Cerrone?
40 seconds, all it took. Pretty clinical.
Mike, I know you're not a professional wrestling fan, but are you familiar with the term squash match?
No.
That was basically Bret the Hitman Hart versus the Brooklyn Brawler. Nothing against Donald Cerrone, but it was a little wrestling-y.
A little overmatched.
Yeah, perhaps.
In NBA news, this summer's number 1 overall draft pick will finally make his NBA debut this week. Zion Williamson is expected to play for the New Orleans Pelicans when they host the San Antonio Spurs on Wednesday. Williamson, who played 1 season with Duke last year, has been on the shelf for the past 3 months with a knee injury. And
you looking forward to that?
I am. There's a 3 versus 6 matchup this week. The Denver Nuggets, a very good team,
right,
versus the Houston Rockets, pretty good team. But the NBA has said, screw these guys. We are going to televise this kid nationally. So now we're going to, which would otherwise be a pretty garbage matchup.
Yeah.
San Antonio versus New Orleans. But that's how much hype this guy brings to the game of basketball. Probably the most hyped rookie since LeBron James. So he's got some very large shoes to fill.
I might have to tune in and watch.
This guy's 6'7", 280. He's a big boy.
Holy.
But he's probably got a vertical of like 42 inches or something like that. He can jump out of the gym. He truly is a freak of nature. So, yes, televised nationally should be a good one. In CFL news, Danny Machocha is back in a major role with the CFL club after the Montreal Alouettes announced last week that they had officially hired him as their new general manager. The decision came swiftly after the CFL's announcement that a new ownership group, S&S Sports Co., had finally been secured with the Montreal Alouettes franchise last Monday. Machocha's last stint in the CFL ended when he was fired by the Edmonton Eskimos in 2010 as a head coach and director of football operations. Elsewhere in the CFL, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have announced former Blue Bombers quarterback and quarterbacks coach for the past few seasons, Buck Pierce, as their new offensive coordinator, taking over the role from Paul LaPolice, who was hired on as the new head coach for the Ottawa Redblacks on December 6th.
Pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
I read just earlier today, actually, that the Bombers are apparently heavily pursuing Zach Collaros, who, of course, they brought over late last season on their and eventually won the McGrey Cup. And I think Buck Pierce is going to bring a bit more of an aggressive offense, a bit more razzle-dazzle, and I think that might play right into... I think that might be why they're looking more at Zach Collaros. I don't know if they were not looking at him before, but I think that might have something to do with why it seems they're more heavily pursuing him now.
Does the Grey Cup still feel real to you?
Still sinking in.
It's still sinking in.
Yeah. Still coming down.
It's like me last June. It took some time.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah, I'll figure out how to deal with this.
No one will ever take it away from us. We have that. And finally, in the NHL, the Vegas Golden Knights head office made a somewhat surprising move, firing franchise OG head coach Gerard Gallant and immediately naming his replacement Peter DeBoer, who was relieved of his head coaching role with the San Jose Sharks earlier this season. Gallant is only one full season removed from leading the Vegas Golden Knights to the franchise's first Stanley Cup Finals appearance in their inaugural season, losing to the Washington Capitals in 2018.
Best part about this story is Gerard Gallant is the Western Conference NHL All-Star Team head coach.
Yep. Should be sufficiently awkward come All-Star time. Also love that they're 1 point removed from first place in a ridiculously tight Pacific division. I think first and fifth is separated by 1 point right now. My favorite part of that is that the 3 California teams are right at the bottom.
You know what that points to for me? That's a spoiled franchise.
Yeah.
You go to you go to the Stanley Cup final in your first season. Suddenly, next season, you still are a pretty good team, but you don't make it there. Third season, you hit a rough patch and you let the guy
let him
go?
Just send him
Come
packing.
on.
Yeah. That is going to do it for this week's edition of Cabin Sports news.
All right, and if you couldn't hear in the background, our guest on tonight's show, Jesse Wheeler, was having his pregame meal, so he is fired up, ready to go, talk a little MLB, because there's stuff happening. So we're going to hear from the wheel when we come back on Cabin Sports Radio.
Cabin Sports Radio.
Cabin Sports Radio is always brought to you by our friends over at Sport North. They are moving sport forward. Check out sportnorth.com for everything going on with them and sport in the NWT in general. We are joined in the studio now by Jesse Wheeler, host of Mornings at the Cabin here at Cabin Radio. And as I was mentioning earlier to Mike, a matured broadcaster. Somehow you restrained yourself from talking about this crazy MLB scandal, the Houston Astros saga that has just completely unwound, hit the fan, any other expressions you want to use for that. It has come apart in the last week. You started messaging Mike and I on, Thursday?
Oh, yeah.
As it was all coming out on Twitter.
Well, that was the second part that was coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of unraveled up to this point, but it seemed like that was like a breaking point Thursday night.
I'll tell you why we didn't talk about it in the morning show. I forgot.
Because you can't do it without swearing. So try to do it here.
Okay.
Okay, so the Houston Astros,
pardon me.
obviously, if you have been living under a rock,
Terrible guest.
are making a ruckus. I told you, he's trying to contain himself.
I'm not
It's
used
tough.
to this side of the table.
He threw a ketchup packet when I was doing my sportscast.
I know.
And I threw your
It was.
clothes on
It's
the ground.
warm. It's warm.
Yeah,
Why is it warm?
Because it sat on it.
Ah. Can I just say before he gets into the actual scandal,
You may.
I always know it's going to be some good gossip, some good tea whenever he opens up a group chat that involves the two of us. I know something crazy's gone on in the world of sports.
Something's going down.
Yeah. Jesse doesn't waste time.
Yeah,
He
I
gets
always
right
look forward
to it.
to it.
That is not true. I waste a lot of time.
Well, not in front of us.
No.
Actually, that's not true.
Never in front of people.
So the Houston Astros 2017 World Series champs are cheaters extraordinaire. What?
I'm waiting for the tea.
Oh,
to be
say
done.
I thought I had said something wrong already.
No,
They're like, no, you met. Let me take it.
I'm shaking my head, just like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm just waiting for the tee up to be done.
That was an incredulous look.
No.
I see.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So yes, it has all come out now, and apparently MLB wants nothing to do with it. They don't want to touch it.
Well, let's break it down.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me, by the way.
No, always a pleasure.
As always. I love coming here, and we haven't done it in a while, so it's
Overdue.
I'm a big fan of the show.
Well, the Blue Jays haven't done anything, so
Hey,
yeah.
the other day they unveiled their new unis.
Oh, did
Yeah.
They're going with the powder blues
Oh,
this
yeah.
year.
they? Oh, hey,
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
all right,
Gorgeous.
Okay,
And they're
Vladdy Guerrero's
open,
bum.
They're open to
Boom.
making a move of significant impact.
Well, I mean,
Is-
okay, they brought in Ryu.
Yeah.
And they brought in the Japanese pitcher, the lefty.
Drawing a blank right now.
Me too.
They've been linked to Lindor,
Yep.
the checking in with the
Oh
Cleveland
my-
Indians.
Oh my God! If they brought in Lindor, I think. Well, no, Lindor signed arbitration, didn't he?
Right, correct. So I don't think
He's
it
off
couldn't
the
be
market.
via
hey,
trade.
hey. This is not why we brought you.
Sorry.
Houston Astros,
Yeah.
go.
Okay. So let's break it all down. So when I messaged you two about this on the group chat, this was the second part of the scandal. So this is the buzzer part.
Yeah.
The first part was already over.
Right.
They had been found to be stealing signs through a sophisticated system of an HD camera in their center field focused on a catcher's crotch. So there's some guy out there just get tight on them balls, brother. And he just gets right in there to steal the signs. He relays it to a guy in the dugout who's watching on an HD screen, who then bangs a garbage can to let the player know what's coming.
Yeah.
Now, with that method, it's not clear that everybody on the team is in on it. We already know that one of the members of the 2017 World Series winning team is now in the A's. Can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. Terrible guess. I have to stop drinking during the day.
Pitcher?
Pitcher.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can't remember his name
he
either.
came out and said, like, listen, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone on the team wasn't a part of it. There were players on the team that were like, I can't say anything, but I don't like this.
But that doesn't make them any less a part of it. Just
course it
because
does.
they didn't condone it, they still covered it up. They knew what was happening.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they covered up. They knew it was going to happen, but like Kenny Giles was on the team. He's on the Jays now.
Yeah.
He says
Very
he didn't-
mum. And it's
he said he didn't know anything about
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, I don't know. But the other pitcher knew. They didn't say anything. What are you going to do? Your dream is to win a World Series.
Yeah.
You're on a team that is like definitely going to win the World Series. And there it was.
But that begs the question, then why do it? Like,
Well,
I know it sounds very,
why
very...
do it? Because there's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake.
I get that.
They became, by 2017, they were the most popular team in major leagues, in the major leagues. By the end of 2017, they were like outselling the Yankees in merch. They signed a new TV deal. Like, you're talking about $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like at least $1 billion.
Yeah.
To like win a World Series and get all that attention.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a ton of money. And we already know that anybody's going to do a lot for a ton of money. That's how it goes. And baseball is no different.
Even
So-
if you... Because it's obviously hindsight is 2020. I'm sure if, quote unquote, if they could have all done it over again,
They would have done it over again.
they would have strongly reconsidered.
No, they probably
You don't
wouldn't
think they would have?
Well, I mean, enough of them participated in it to be like, yeah, we're good. We're good with this. We want to win. Here's the thing, though.
But
So-
were they good with it, or was it just more of the insular nature of pro sports in general,
I mean,
which
that's
is like
part of it.
what happens in the room stays in the room,
that's
which is
definitely
garbage.
part of it. It's definitely part of it. But I mean, there was enough guys on that team to do it that benefit from it that went for it.
Yeah.
So the end of this is that they had been found to be stealing signs using that method with a whistle and banging on a garbage can to let people know what pitches were coming. That was what was going on.
Yeah.
They did the investigation, found them guilty of that, and doled out a punishment.
Severe one.
Severe one. $5 million fine, which is garbage. But general manager and manager of the Houston Astros both suspended for a year, and then they lost their draft picks for first and second round for 2021 and 2022.
Yeah.
So a deep cut. And then the Astros fired the general manager and the manager.
Yeah.
Alex Cora, who was a bench coach on the Houston Astros in 2017, went on to manage the 2018 Boston Red Sox,
Right.
who were also
won.
who are also under investigation because they won the World Series in 2018, has been fired by the Red Sox. Carlos Beltran, who was a player on the Astros in 2017, was now the Mets manager, just hired a few months ago, has been let go from that. So a lot of fallout.
Yeah.
That is all before this buzzer thing,
Right.
which I messaged you guys about on Thursday, which is all broken out.
Speaking of Carlos Beltran,
What?
it was his niece.
That's
Allegedly.
Well, allegedly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
all of this precipitated from a burner account claiming to be Carlos Beltran's niece, who called that the manager and the general manager were going to be fired a day before anybody knew.
Yeah.
Who called that Carlos Beltran was going to get let go a day before anybody knew, and then came out with this thing about Altuve, Bregman, and Reddick wearing buzzers. So they were 2 for 2, and everybody jumped on this. And like all of these analysts were like, I'm hearing this from like 5 to 10 different sources that this is legit. And 2 days after that, the MLB was like, oh, we did an investigation. We didn't find anything. But there's pictures of like weird stuff, like little bumps under the jersey or tape on somebody's chest. You've got Altuve on the series-winning home run coming to home plate and saying, don't rip my shirt, don't rip my shirt,
Yeah,
which is
right.
like become part of the tradition of a home run, especially a walk-off home run, ripping the shirt off or dumping the Gatorade or whatever, right? So a lot of things in hindsight that looked innocent enough now with this new information look really, really bad.
The context of everything has changed so drastically now.
Aroldis Chapman smirking
Yeah.
after Altuve hit
I
the home
remember
run.
that.
He's like, and everybody called him out on it. It's like, what are you smiling about? You shouldn't be smiling. You should be devastated. And he's just like, it was just the situation is basically what Chapman said. He's just like, what are you supposed to do? What can you do in that situation?
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything. He didn't wink to it. But I mean, through this glass, it's like, oh, yeah. Also, and not much to this piece. I don't know 100% of what Altuve's batting patterns are.
Right.
But a guy took a still shot of him hitting that home run on that pitch. He is all the way forward in the box.
Oh, yeah.
Against the guy who throws 104 miles an hour.
Right.
You don't do that against
No.
the guy who throws 102 miles or 104 miles.
That is exactly what I was thinking about on the drive over here. Aroldis Chapman. Isn't he the guy that clocked like 105?
Yeah.
103 for sure.
105
So-
is the record, and he got
Yeah. So this guy throws absolute fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
want to be
he's
behind the umpire trying to hit against him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's at the top of the batters and like sitting on that pitch too.
Yeah.
For a
Sitting.
guy that can throw that kind of heat just makes no sense
It doesn't
in
make a
that
ton of
moment.
sense. That's right. So, I
And-
mean, and I'll...
Maybe that explains like the smirk a little bit. It's like, really? Like you were really waiting for that pitch. You knew that pitch was coming in that moment, and then hence a little smirk.
And Chapman tweeted out yesterday or the day before a picture of Altuve coming to the plate and with a Photoshop metal detector next to home plate.
Yeah.
So, like, there's not a lot of confidence that the Astros didn't do all these things. things.
Yeah.
So the buzzer one is even worse. I mean, it's bad enough that you have a video of the catcher and stealing signs and all that, and knowing what pitch is going to come. But to hit a garbage can, somebody might miss that.
Right.
So in the big situation with the big player, you put something on his body that he can't possibly misinterpret.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the banging could be anything. It could be the fans. A whistle could be the fans.
Yeah, in a big situation,
Yeah.
there could be a bunch of noise
And
going
that's
on.
the biggest situation.
Right.
Right? Bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
ALCS on the line. Like, if you hit a home run now, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the situation.
So, I mean, you put that all together, and I don't think there's really any reasonable question in anyone's mind that something
up.
was going on.
Something's up. And whether or not it's the electric buzzers or in this year they were still benefiting from garbage cans and whistles.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
either way, you have a team that won a World Series, made it pretty far in 2018. I think did they win the division and then not make they lost in the ALDS, I think. And then 2019 they make it all the way to the World Series. And like every analyst is like, thank God the Washington Nationals found some way to win that series.
Yeah.
Because if they won another one, you're talking about taking World Series titles away from a team
Right.
if they're found culpable of cheating, right? And if they do another investigation or it comes out that it's true that these guys have buzzers on them,
Yeah.
like you're looking. I mean, I don't know. I would say I would be looking at a lifetime suspension for one of those players.
It's being thrown around already.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, you
absolutely.
have Pete Rose, who's been banned for life.
Yeah.
Won't get into the Hall of Fame because he gambled.
Yeah.
You know what he gambled on? He gambled on his team to win.
Yeah.
He didn't gamble on his team to lose. This isn't the Black Sox. The Black Sox in 1919 where they were paid to throw games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He bet on his team to win.
Yeah.
And he's banned for life from everything. And then you got Ken Rosenthal on the sidelines right after the Altuve home run. He goes up to him and is like, "Hey, you asked your player, the other guys not to rip off your shirt. What's up with that?"
Yeah.
And he's like, What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And he's like, he asked him again. He's like, "Oh, I'm shy. My wife got mad."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
immediately ran into the dugout and came back out with another T-shirt
Right.
on.
Yeah.
So, hit right immediately after hitting absolutely the biggest home run of his entire career.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe even the greatest home run he ever hits.
He's worried about his
He's
jersey.
worried about, and you can see him pointing out at all his teammates, going, "No, no, no!"
Does this says, "Don't
don't
rip off
touch my shirt."
Right.
Clear as day.
The first thing he does is run to the dugout
Yeah.
to put on an entirely new shirt.
Yeah, the championship.
The championship
shirt.
shirt.
I mean, he celebrated a little bit.
But throw it on over top of your jersey, that kind of thing. But he had to go out of sight to change into this new shirt and then conduct all of his post game interviews.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It's a
and now
weird
with
thing.
this new context, you mentioned that the system before was sophisticated. It doesn't feel like it is compared to what
No.
these latest allegations are. Banging a trash can.
So-
but this is crazy, and you don't know to what extent they would have been using these systems. But we're talking about lives being forever altered.
Yeah.
Like think about a call up.
You're talking about legacies being
Yeah.
altered. Clayton Kershaw being
Yes.
chief among them, who is a Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
bar none, a Hall of Famer, and has been garbage in the playoffs before, but in 2017 got lit up in the World Series.
Yeah.
And it both times at home.
Yeah.
Both times at Houston.
And did you see the split between Altuve's numbers? As soon as he
Altuve,
goes on the
Bregman,
road,
Springer, Reddick,
their
splits
absolutely
are gross.
eye-popping.
Talking about 150 to 200 point difference in average between home and away.
Yeah.
Like you see splits between home and away, but that is a monumental split.
Yeah.
So when the MLB, of course, is going to I don't know that the fix is in a conspiracy, whatever, but they're saying that they found no evidence.
Right.
They've already suffered through one of the worst cheating scandals in the history of the game. Like the worst cheating scandal since 1919, which is the Black Sox. They call. I mean, they that's what they called them because they threw the World Series.
Yeah.
So you've already gone through that. Now it's this, which is even worse. 'Cause
Yeah.
Now you have to look at.
This makes the steroid scandal seem like nothing.
Yeah.
People are saying steroids are worse. There's no effing way that steroids
No.
is worse than this because in steroids it gives you extra pop. Yeah, it gives Barry Bonds the ability to hit way more home runs than they ever
for
would.
sure.
Mark McGwire
Yeah.
too. That's all.
But you still
that's-
got to hit the ball.
Still got to hit the ball, and they
Yeah.
don't know what pitch is coming.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
there was one quote that came out that really put it all into context
Yeah.
for me, into perspective, and it was basically one of the pitchers for the A's, I guess at the time, who said, "I would much rather face a guy who's juiced up at the plate than someone who
Yeah.
knows what pitch is coming."
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like,
Yep.
that pretty much puts it all into perspective.
No one's taking away from these guys' talent. You still got to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Like you still,
Yeah.
Altuve is still one of the most talented players to ever play the game.
Yeah.
However, this calls into question a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it's just it's nuts, and people it's coming out at a time that there's a lot of other things going on. So a lot of people are like, who cares? Who cares about baseball? It's like goes right to the heart of the integrity of the sport.
Totally.
Oh, absolutely.
They're already worried about viewership.
And they should be.
And attendance at games.
They should be.
You throw in something like this, and talking about legacy, he should hand deliver the AL MVP to Judge or something at this point.
At somewhere.
And then, all these guys that are called up from, AA, AAA ball to come up and get out of a jam type of thing, these pitchers. And they've got MVP caliber players, who already know exactly what you're going to throw in any given context.
Yeah.
They get lit up. They don't get called up again. That's their career.
Yeah.
Right? And, lives will be altered because of this scandal.
And what you're talking about also is not just what pitch is coming. There's also some suspicion that they know the area as well.
Yeah.
Because when you do signs, you'll say one in on either side or whatever.
Right.
All you have to do is decipher exactly what they're doing, and all you have to do that is watch tape. That's it.
Yeah.
And the Washington Nationals somehow got around that. I don't know how they did, but they ended up winning, and it was a great series. A great series. But I mean, is it a great series if Houston doesn't know all the pitches are coming?
Yeah.
Does it go 7 and get that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's good for the sport, 7 games. So, I mean, there's some justification there. There's also suspicion, who knew about this and for how long?
Yeah.
Also, how many other teams are doing this? Because a lot of,
you got to wonder, yeah.
I mean, I love baseball. And I don't follow it as crazy as I did before. But what I do love is the legacy of baseball. And cheating is a huge part of baseball. Always has been. It's part of the legacy of the game.
Yeah.
There used to be, cheating was guys
you cheat to win the game.
To win the game. Playoffs? I'm just hoping we can cheat. But going back to the spitball. The spitball's not a legal thing anymore, but guys would still, rub things on their fingers, put a little sandpaper on their thing. It's part of the game. Guys cork their bats. The last guy got caught with a cork bat was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Cheating is part of it.
And what happened to him? 20 games?
No, 20 games, maybe something like that.
Who was the Yankees pitcher with the pine tar?
Oh,
that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was really
I think
funny.
he thought it was going to match his skin tone, and it just
a very obvious black dot on his neck.
But back in the day, have you guys ever seen Major League? You've seen Major League, right? The movie Major League? No. Oh, shut the hell up.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Anyway,
I know it stars Charlie Sheen.
It does.
Okay.
Who apparently could have pitched in the minor leagues. He could throw 90 miles an hour.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's an old school pitcher in that. So it takes place in 1989. So there's an
Yeah.
old school pitcher who's been pitching since the 70s, and he's got there's a scene where he's Vagisil, Vaseline, Bardol. He's got this stuff all over his all over his face.
No F words.
No,
please.
pardon me. All over his face, and that's all cheating. But in the part of the game when you could hide it, it was just kind of there. It was there, and it was out. If you got caught, you got caught, but it wasn't that big a deal. You get suspended, whatever. But in HD times, you can't do it. It's really hard to do. So this guy had pine tar on his skin, and it kind of matched the skin tone, but not really. And it just you look at the footage, just why did you think you were going to get away?
It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad.
So a couple questions. Do you think baseball up until this point, not obviously they haven't encouraged this per se, but they've been their own worst enemy up until this point because, and we've talked about this on the morning show. Infamously, Ollie went at you pretty hard about the suspensions handed out for steroids in baseball, which in his opinion, were a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Has Major League Baseball ultimately done this to themselves by being like, hey, we don't want you to cheat, but if you do, there's always next year.
They have no moral high ground to punish anybody for anything at this point. If you didn't punish really anybody for the steroid era, you punish them now for PEDs, it's 50, 80, and then the full season. And
even that still, when it's
50 games.
It's like it's an old hat scandal now.
Yeah.
It's part of the folklore of baseball.
Pretty much.
Steroids, whatever, 50 games.
Well,
Who
the
cares?
steroid era provided baseball with some of its most exciting times.
Without question,
in an era where attendance was down, money was down, and you got Mark McGwire hitting 70 home runs.
Right.
And everybody's like, holy crap, we got to watch baseball again. And then even 3 years after that, when Bonds hit 73, it's
Well, and that kind of speaks to the fact that, like you say, it did wonders for audiences for baseball at the time. So that's the kind of thing where you could almost make the argument that Major League Baseball was kind of in on that because there was really nothing to lose if the players were like okay with, potentially sacrificing some of their long-term health.
Ken Caminiti died because of how many roids he took. Like, his heart exploded. Like, it has measurable effects on the human body. It has measurable effects in the game.
Yeah.
They knew what was going on, and they were just kind of like, well, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop so you can be like, oh, now we'll punish this.
Well, the fact that this seemed like such a big deal at the time to everybody outside of baseball, like all the fans in that.
It went to congressional hearings. Like,
wow.
That's where it went. Remember Rafael Palmeiro in Congress in a congressional hearing was like, I never took PEDs ever.
Channeling
ever,
Bill
ever.
Clinton.
And it's just like, Rafi.
The fallout from this is going to be really, really interesting to watch. And that's why it's weird that they've come out and said, and I wonder if the investigation will continue, but they've come out saying they found no evidence of electronic devices. The fine and the punishment they've given out to this point is the maximum allowed under the collective bargaining agreement. But this just takes it to a whole new level, and you can't not when you have multiple credible sources coming out and saying, I'm hearing this too. I'm hearing this too.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have to start with player interviews from players that were on that team. They're going to be mum, for the most part, but maybe someone does spill the tea.
Yeah.
But that's where it'd have to start, and this has to be the launching point for something further as far as an investigation is concerned, because you can't ignore this noise.
No, and someone asked Pete Rose, like, what do you think? Like, how do you think this ranks? He says, I don't know. All I know is I've been suspended for 30 years, and I don't know anybody who's been suspended for 30 years. So, like, and there's a lot of players on Randall Grichuk on the Blue Jays said they should have their title taken away. Or at least an asterisk next to it in the encyclopedia. Like, it's just like, this one's under, because you can play a game under contention. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go and say, we're playing this game under protest.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, why not have the World Series is under protest?
Yeah.
Because the Yankees would be there. The Dodgers certainly would be there to say, we're protesting this World Series win.
Yeah.
Until you do a full and proper investigation. I mean,
it wouldn't be hard. The way they schedule baseball, you could just have a couple matinee games be the World Series.
Yeah, really. I mean, let's just sort it out over a weekend.
Yeah.
But, like,
everyone likes doubleheaders, right?
Yeah.
It's not impossible to think that the MLB doesn't want to look into this any further, because
I'm sure they don't.
Already doled out the maximum stuff. There's like 4 people who have been fired. They're losing draft picks. They're losing a bunch of money, and like their credibility is gone.
Yeah.
But, like, do you want to go any further than this? Because people will be screaming for lifetime bans.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to go any further than this? Do you want to bet Jose Altuve, number 8 in jersey sales, like one of the most popular players in the history of the game.
Absolutely.
Definitely one of the most popular players right now.
Yeah.
What, you going to suspend him for a year or 2 or 5? Like, if you suspend him for 5 years, his career's over. Obviously, you suspend him for a year, he can come back. What is he, 28? Something like that.
Yeah.
So he's pretty young still.
And then there's Bregman, Bregman's much younger.
Bregman's
He's
younger.
24 or 25, something
Springer's
like
right there, too.
that.
Like, yeah.
He was, I don't know if his name was brought into this, but...
And then Reddick, there's a picture of Reddick doing an interview where he's got a tank top on, and there's a little piece of tape on his chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, it might be confetti. It's like, there's no confetti anywhere else, but there's a piece of tape on his chest. Like, and it's not K-tape or anything like that. It's a piece of, like, hockey tape on his chest.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
What is hockey tape doing in baseball?
Yeah.
Has no place in the
no
game.
purity in the game.
Did you go further down the rabbit hole and see the HDH allegations?
I'm not going anywhere near Mike Trout.
If that's
Mike
true,
Trout is a golden god of
cancel the MLB effective immediately.
I mean, HGH can be used for any number of things. It's one of the banned substances, but you can use it to regrow tissue.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not. He's not so super jacked,
right?
And also, he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
So it's a completely nutso scandal.
Yeah.
And it's in my opinion, the worst since the Black Sox in 1919, where gamblers literally changed the outcome of a World Series. Mm-hmm. The steroids didn't change the outcome of anything.
Yeah.
Mark McGwire never won a World Series. Barry Bonds never won a World Series. Ken Caminiti, Jeff Bagwell, Rafael Palmeiro. None of them, like, Barry Bonds came closest. That was it.
Yeah.
They just broke a couple records, sold some jerseys, made some money. It was a good time for everybody.
We're talking about a dynastical franchise, like over the last 3 years, and for that to be tainted is just horrible.
It is. It's terrible. And it's terrible for every player on the team that didn't want to participate in it.
So kind of the conundrum for Major League Baseball right now is obviously they obviously don't want to. They want to pretend that this isn't a thing.
Yeah, why would you want to go any deeper? You can't.
But you risk, like you mentioned earlier, you risk fans basically turning their back on the game. Like you can probably predict that like people will get over this and we'll all kind of move forward and we'll get past it and the game will continue as it always has. That could happen, or there could be a major kind of blowback from the fans, especially the fans of the teams that got screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking like there's talk on boards about like fans filing class action lawsuits for like wasted money and things like this. I mean,
players should be doing that.
Exactly.
Question.
There's people asking if players should do that.
Absolutely, they should.
I mean, baseball's got an uphill battle already. Right, it's got to get over a lot of things, and it has in the past. Right, it's gotten over the Black Sox scandal. It got over like sending their best players to World War II. It gets over being like the most boring sport in the history of people, which I love. It got over the dead ball era, which was like no home runs and all that stuff.
Right.
It got over the steroid scandal. It will get past this because people will just start to kind of forget about it. But like they shouldn't. Like there should be some measurable effect that this has on the game. I don't know what it's going to be or what it looks like. I don't know what the punishments would look like. But they have to investigate further than they have if they took like a day and were like, we didn't find anything.
Because if you don't, I mean, you could have these potential major blowback situations. But also, what's to stop a team from continuing to do it? If you get a slap on the wrist but it's like, sacrifice one or two people that are maybe not going to come through out of this, but I'm a little less cynical about that. I don't think that there's going to be another team that tries something like this. Like again, cheating is a part of baseball. Stealing signs has always been a part of baseball, but it's usually if you're on second. You're the runner on second. You can catch a sign. You relay it to the first or second or third base coach, and they relay it to the hitter. Yeah. That's all fair game. Yeah.
And the Jays got in hot, even last year, of course, they got into hot water.
Everybody does that. Yeah. Everybody does that. So you try to hide your signs as best as possible. You make them complicated. And you watch on TV when the guys come up to the pitcher's mound and they put their gloves over their mouth so they can't see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like it's all.
When you do that, we can't hear you talk.
I don't know.
It's so effective.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You got to get a Simpsons reference in there. So I mean, it's
would have thought you'd go with the softball episode, but here we are.
No, that's fine. It's the worst. It's the worst scandal since 1919, bar none. This is calling into account the entire integrity of the game.
Yeah,
and I mean, it makes for interesting conversation and interesting barstool conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, until something's actually done, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
The Houston Astros have already been punished like crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think that Major League Baseball is in a very awkward position, but they're also in a position where they're just like, let's just leave this all behind us and focus on the game. 25 days until pitchers report for spring training.
I know.
So I mean, like, we're right there.
If I'm one of those three players on the Astros mentioned, I'm in the batting cages right now.
Yeah.
Because if their numbers dip,
Yeah.
like at the start, of next season,
Yeah.
if their production and their split on at home and on the road is around the same and it is down significantly, that is only going to fuel this speculation so much more.
And they are going to get booed everywhere they go.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go. And I mean, it's going to be tough. I see the other thing would be to split up the team.
Yeah.
That would be another punishment.
Yeah.
You can't really force a team
Well,
to
their
do
pitching
that.
staff's already going to take a big hit.
Yeah, already going to
Losing
take a
Cole.
huge hit. Yeah, that's right. But I mean, splitting up the team, like tossing all these players elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and getting rid of like that part of the manager.
But it's not like you can kickstart a rebuild. You're losing 4 draft picks already.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you'd obviously get some prospects and picks in return for getting rid of some of your roster players right now.
First and second round of the MLB draft, like who
Yeah.
cares?
Nothing like a good scandal to angry up the blood, fellas?
It's good.
To make a better Simpsons reference, this is a black day for baseball. We'll be back.
Come the cheaters
On Cabin Sports Radio.
Cabin Sports Radio.
Cabin Sports Radio brought to you by Sport North, moving sport forward. Check out sportnorth.com for more. What is happening over there?
Hey, Mike threw something at me.
God.
Sorry.
Stop talking MLB, and suddenly distractions just become too much. In NHL, there was an incident last week during a game between the Vancouver Canucks and the Winnipeg Jets. Matthew Perreault, who has kind of just become the rag doll of the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, my God, the guy just gets destroyed every game. I don't know how he's still playing, to be quite honest. He's the smallest guy on the ice. He took a pretty nasty elbow from Jake Virtanen and had this to say in his post-game interview.
I'm not surprised, to be honest. Player safety my ass. Like, this is literally an elbow to the face to a guy that didn't have the puck. I see him coming, I brace for a hit. It was a late hit, I never had the puck, and he flicks his elbow to my face, and they're not going to do anything about it. So now I got to take matters in my own hand next time this happens, and I get to swing my stick across his forehead, and I shouldn't get suspended then. Like, I can't really protect myself there. If the league's not going to protect me, then I'm the smallest guy on the ice, so I can't really fight anybody. So the only thing I can do to defend myself is use my stick. So next guy that does that to me is going to get my stick.
Ooh.
And I better not get suspended for it.
This isn't the first incident in recent weeks even where people were wondering why there wasn't a suspension. The Cassie and Kachuk thing comes to mind as well. Is that an overall concern as a player that there's some inconsistency there?
Yeah, for sure. Especially after that hit that I just suffered. They're not going to do anything about it. I mean, that's clear-cut elbow to the face to a guy that didn't have the puck. Like, he's just taking on a smaller guy. Like, if I was a bigger guy, he probably doesn't do that because I can beat him up.
Just one more on Blake actually engaged with Virtanen and tried to. He didn't want to go. What does that say? I guess about him?
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not even going to fight anybody, so he's going to throw his elbow around. He doesn't have to fight anybody, and the league's not going to do anything about it. So maybe now I should start running around with my elbows up and getting guys in the face, and then I don't have to answer and fight anybody, and I should be all right, right?
Pretty fiery words.
Ooh.
Hot mic.
Stick to the forehead.
Yeah.
We got to be prepared on this show.
That was a little much. That was a little much.
He's speaking from the heart. He's fired up.
Yeah, and I think he was so he also was involved in a late hit. He got banged up, what was it, about a month ago? Joel Farabee, a rookie for the Philadelphia Flyers, caught him with a late hit. An obvious late charge, didn't have the puck once again. And Farabee was actually suspended for 2 games after that incident. I think Parros missed like 2 or 3 games with injury.
Yeah.
Came back, has this happen to Jake Virtanen, and this, as he mentions in that interview, they talk about happening, really kind of on the heels of the whole Zach Kassian, Matthew Tkachuk incident, where of course Zach Kassian, after a rough battle of Alberta, was suspended for 2 games for going after Tkachuk after taking several questionable hits. Obviously pretty fired up, but I think he was kind of saying what is on a lot of players' minds seemingly this year with regards to the NHL Department of Player Safety, George Parros. People don't seem too happy with him.
Well, why is George Parros the dude? Like, I mean, just because a guy was a thumper and a fighter, does that mean he's like the best guy to be like, this is a player safety issue? I should know. I've been hit in the head 40,000 times.
Well, he did go to Princeton, so he's a pretty smart guy.
All right. A lot of people went to Princeton. I think George Bush Jr. went to Princeton. So
look how well he did.
Yeah, he was president.
Yeah, not bad.
No, Parros is a smart guy. It's just it's an odd thing to do. It's an odd thing to put a goon, for lack of a better word, in that role.
Well, I think the idea behind it at the time, and I mean, I'm sure he just, went through the interview process like everyone else. It was an objective process. Like, it's not like I don't think the NHL went out seeking, a former knuckle duster to take on that role. I think it just kind of worked out that way, that Parros just seemed to be the right guy for the job. And I don't necessarily not subscribe to the idea that someone who is familiar with the roughness of hockey should be in charge of that job, because obviously it's a sensitive position. Yeah. You were always dealing with sensitive incidents that people on either side. Nobody ever sees an incident objectively that goes to the Department of Player Safety for a ruling. There's always, it's always this guy made a dirty play,
right,
or this guy should have been defending himself better. There's always different perspectives to see this kind of thing. So I don't necessarily, I don't think there's anything wrong with that idea.
Give Carcillo the job. Give him a chance.
I think he's vying for it.
He could be, man.
He also, he just kind of calls out the NHL in general too much. I don't know if he'll find himself in any employment at this point. But it raises an interesting point because, as we mentioned, the Cassie and Tkachuk incident. originally when everything was erupting following that game, I just kind of thought, it's just the Battle of Alberta.
Yeah.
This is just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But I also, I don't think when we talked about it a bit last week on the show, and I don't think I realized at that time that Kassian had been suspended for 2 games. And I still don't really know why he got suspended.
I'm very happy it wasn't 3, by the way, because then he would have missed the first installment of the. That's right. Is it a home and home? I think a week tomorrow, the 28th, and I think February 1st or something like that. So 2 games in a 2-day span. It's a leap year this year.
Perhaps a convenience.
I think it's
Never mind.
29th and the 1st.
It's not even February yet, so I'm a month ahead right now. But
it's a leap year.
4 days. 4 days.
40 days in January.
Yeah. But so no, happy that it wasn't long enough that he would have missed one of those installments, because that wouldn't have been good.
I feel like they did that on purpose. It's like, suspend you for 2, really amp this thing up.
Yeah.
Let's get people
He's going to be there, by the way, George Parros. He will be in attendance for that game. They're going to be watching it
He's
closely.
like, I can't miss this one.
Oh, yeah, he's going to toss off the
I do
mitts.
like how Kassian responded to this, though, more so than Perreault, and I get it, because he's a bigger guy. He probably can defend himself a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I thought he handled it, aside from, the ragdoll incident, post-game, handled it pretty well, admitting that, all right, it's a legal play, so I'm going to take that into consideration. You know, he didn't profess retaliatory remarks quite like Matthew Perreault did. Who was a smaller guy, right? Not as easy for him to defend himself.
No uncertain terms in Matthew Perreault's statement.
But as soon as you're going around saying, "Fine, I will defend myself by slashing you in the face,"
a little extreme.
Not quite as good.
Yeah,
but it'll make the second installment of the Battle of Alberta very good. When do the Jets play the Canucks next?
I don't know. I didn't look
George
that far
is going to
ahead,
have to be at that game, too.
Yeah,
there might be some sticks to the face.
I think he's booking some tickets these days.
Yeah.
All right, we are just about out of time, but before we go, going to finish off by highlighting a moment for Patrick Kane, who became the 10th American NHL player in the history of the league to join the 1,000-point club. He did it this past Sunday against the Winnipeg Jets. Jesse?
Jets Canucks, March 15th in Vancouver.
Okay.
George will be there.
Georgie will be there.
Tensions will cool by then.
Yeah,
yes.
It's fine. And I mean, let's be honest, Matthew Perreault will probably be injured from something else by that point.
Yeah.
George the father. Isn't Parros father? That's father, I think.
Huh?
Isn't it?
No, that's Per.
Parros. Amaris Parros. I think, George the father. That's what we call him.
Anyway, Patrick Kane is now part of the 1,000-point club. So I came across a piece of audio shortly after the new year, and it might be my favorite piece of audio of all time. It is from
not
that one. Not that one. It's from the 2010 Stanley Cup Final, which of course was Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and the rest of the young Blackhawks' first appearance in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 6 against the Philadelphia Flyers, and arguably the most anticlimactic Stanley Cup winning goal of all time. Patrick Kane, from the perspective of the Philadelphia fans. See you next week on Cabin Sports Radio.
Oh, I thought it was in. Where's the puck? What happened? They won!